record. We already.
Go ahead.
Let's call the meeting to order.
Go ahead.
Let's call the meeting to order at 6:02. Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lori, oh, please.
Thank you. Chair Burns,
Here.
Vice Chair King,
Here.
Zach Gaynor,
Here.
Joanna Para,
Here.
Sherry Simmons,
Present.
your new member Brian Van Dyke.
Here.
I don't see Matt. I'll keep an eye open for him. And your ex officio tonight is Counselor Katie Redding.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? There's a motion to approve them. I move to approve.
Second.
I have a first by Sherry, second by Zach. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Public comment. We have anybody wishing to speak?
Tara, are you just here to observe?
I'm just here to.
All right. Very
You want to
good.
see your husband hard at work?
Public comment guidelines. Can you go over that?
No.
No.
If there's
Okay.
nobody here, no.
Okay, let's move on to unfinished business. The bylaws. So I believe the only thing that was left, you need to correct me on that, is how many meetings we can miss in a row before we are relieved.
Yes. And there were some other typos on there, but I figured out why this isn't showing the Bill's face. But yes, that was the main thing, and you do have a current counselor here that can talk about it.
Okay.
I believe that's correct, as well as a few of grammatical and spelling errors.
Okay, so is that on us or?
Well,
Or?
I mean, it'd be nice if someone called them out. I've heard that, but I don't know specifics. Honestly, I have not had time to go through it. But the main thing is that how many.
Mayor Dumbrell continues, with clear and clear and objective goals. So that's what we're really, I think, focusing on as well.
So the spelling.
No, with the number of missed,
Yes, yeah,
oh,
yes.
excuse your
So I believe all the other boards.
Point of clarification. Did you say excused or unexcused?
Yeah,
There's three, whether they're excused or not, you miss, you're out.
well, that's not for me to decide, it was just something to bring up for you guys to decide. There's some language somewhere, and it might be what I'm working on with the umbrella policy manual. But if you've missed three, even if you've been excused, maybe at that time, the chair should approach and say, it's not, is it time to step down? Because is this not working for your life, or maybe there's an illness that nobody knows about, and then it's maybe a time for approach.
Okay, so discussion.
Yeah,
Thought we have that in there, did we not? Trying to remember where it is under the.
It's not in here.
It was at one time, but there's been so many versions of this that.
Yeah,
Part excellent, definitely.
anybody want to discuss more than 3 absences? Or do we agree with that?
If I remember what it said the last time. This is
this was a while ago, it was, we said 3 are excused. We may ask the person to step down, but if it's. Like, no, if it's 5, we'll ask them to step down if they're all excused. I think it's what, the gist of what we talked about last time,
I think 5 is too many.
I do too.
that was the.
Is there
Excuse.
language that somebody else has? So, does anybody else have bylaws?
Yes, they do,
And
but
are they not in compliance either then?
Bill, can you hear this?
Yeah, I can hear it. The EDC have bylaws that they adopt, that they had council adopt. And the bylaws before you all that you all worked on were, the starting point was the EDC bylaws. For format and then for various elements of content for you all to review and decide if you like those particular rules for yourself or if you didn't. But yeah, the EDC is the only one. I believe I believe the library board also has bylaws, but I was not involved in those. That was a Robin assisted project. The other ones do. The Parks Board is the last one that has to have bylaws to have bylaws.
So if we want continuity, wouldn't it be the same as what's in the other two? And what is that?
So, yeah, I mean, I think most of what, it's a great question. Most of what's in your bylaws, the draft bylaws you have before you, are very similar, if not nearly identical to what the EDC has. It's been a while, but just as a reminder, about 80 to 90% of the content of your bylaws are actually just the code, the city code regarding your board. And that includes what its definition is, what its primary objectives are, what its membership is, how membership is established and changed by city council. Like 80 to 90% of your bylaws come right out of the code, but those are rules enforced upon you by council because ultimately they have the authority regarding establishing and so forth for the board. But from a meeting to meetings basis, you need, the rest of it, the last 10 to 15, 20% of it, so to speak, is are the bylaws your own rules for how to conduct yourselves meeting to meeting. And that 15, 20%, whatever you want to call it, is very similar to the EDC. You have subcommittees, you have working against pretty sure the EDC has a provision for if you're a member and you work against the objectives of the Economic Development Commission, you can be recommended for membership to be lost, membership to be ended by city council. I don't recall if they have a vacancy provision, but I think they do about being gone a certain amount of time. I think theirs is just general. I don't think that theirs has a specific number of meetings. And I think that as my recollection is that they didn't really talk much about that. I think because you have a lot more kind of business people, some business owners on there, and they tend to have different attendance issues or what have you. Anyway, your bylaws are very, very similar to the EDC's.
Okay, well, again, if there's to be continuity, why are we the only ones having to put this in?
I don't see anything in the EDC that says,
That's what I'm saying. Why are we the only ones that have to do this?
Why was it taken out? I thought we had already added it, why did it get taken out?
Yeah, it's different than the last one that we had, but it doesn't give like a number, just it talks about unexcused. If there's a certain
Right.
threshold that we feel as a board is enough, then that person will be voted out. But doesn't give a number.
well, I think we do, because in the past, we have had board members who have gone on for months and not attended, but at the same time, we didn't have it in the bylaws that they could be removed. So I believe we should have it in there, whether anybody else does, that's up to them, but.
I do too.
Because we've gone through this before, and that way we have something to fall back on if we have that happen.
I am reading through the libraries. Boards. Rules here.
My recommendation is 3 unexcused absences. In a row.
Thank you. Yeah, basically it says board members are responsible to attend scheduled board meetings. It doesn't say anything about number, at least that, not in that section.
Ours.
Library board members who are unable to attend meetings are asked to notify the library board chairperson and director as soon as possible. If you don't, then your absence is unexcused. 2 unexcused absences are grounds for dismissal from the library board. 2 unexcused.
I like that wording.
I do too, the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing,
The whole thing?
Yes,
the whole thing.
So, okay, so that's under the quorum part, so let me. Let me, so. Do we even have what?
Yeah, we do. We have a quorum part.
Yeah, there's a quorum part in every board. If a quorum is not present, the library director shall immediately inform the absent members, except those known to be unavoidably detained, that their presence is required to enable the library board to continue. The absent member or members do not appear after the notice, the members present shall adjourn until a specific time. So if there's not a quorum, obviously, just like all meetings,
Right.
then we don't, and that's happened before with the Parks Board. Then library board members who are unable to attend are asked to notify the chair, and actually normally it includes me as
Right.
well.
include that, I like that wording.
Yeah, as soon as possible, and if they do not contact the board chairperson, or in this case, me, his or her absence shall be considered an unexcused absence. 2 unexcused absences are grounds for dismissal from the library board. And that is all the next, it's about minutes and agendas and stuff that doesn't have to do with attendance.
So do we wanna change it to 2, or do we keep it at 3?
And if they want continuity,
You're right,
we should do what the library does.
Unless you feel that it should be increased to. This 3 within a half a
That's
year.
up to.
Well, if you think about it, you guys technically, even though your board isn't required to meet every month.
Mhm.
But assuming that you do, 3 is a quarter of the meetings.
right,
Basically, you're missing 25% of the meetings,
right,
which. That's up to you guys if that's excessive or not excessive. 2 is whatever, I don't do percentages unless they're quarters or halves, I'm not a numbers person, but, it's totally up to you guys, and if you want consistency, then a place to start would be to go along with these. I haven't pulled up anybody else's yet. I haven't pulled up the planning commission. And if it's not in the EDC, then
I think 2, and then the second one is the conversation with the chair,
right,
between those 2 people, or whoever that is, just who knows what happens or what's going on or something like that, and then the third would be then a vote, my opinion, would be the vote by the board upon the chair giving their perspective as to what happened or whatever, 'cause I don't know, to me, it seems like, I don't know. You just, I don't know, things come up, things happen,
Right.
I think 2 when you're out is a bit maybe harsh in my opinion,
so 3,
but.
or
I
2.
think 2 would
unexcused.
2, yeah, 2 unexcused with,
Okay.
but that second unexcused is conversation with. The chair and vice
Depending
chair,
on the circumstance.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
a removal or not.
yeah, I agree.
Okay,
Well, I think the keyword is unexcused that we're talking about, right?
Right,
Yeah,
Because if unexcused, that means you didn't email, you didn't call, like you just, nothing. Versus we understand everyone has situations, we all have things that happen. But the main component is the respect and the communication.
exactly.
Alright, so the keyword is really unexcused because 2 in a row of just not showing up for something that we need.
right.
that's fair.
Yeah.
So 2 unexcused, equals the discussion with the chair and or the vice chair. So is that kind of like a warning, kind of, or a verbal warning? I don't know.
Well, depending on the outcome.
Right,
The reason, yeah.
so are you gonna leave it at just that then? Or do you wanna add more to it that says, I don't know what, theirs doesn't say anything else, but let me look at. One of the other boards. Here, just to be sure. Planning Commission, that was under quorum, let me see if they have anything under quorum.
I'm fine with the language as it is.
Yeah, I don't think we need that.
But that's what everybody else would do, I mean. I think for the.
So we need to vote on this.
I need a consensus, yeah, I would like especially since the mics aren't working, I would like you to ask each person to say their, how they feel, but I was gonna.
Oh, I agree. Yes, to move with that wording and then to
Okay,
unexcused.
Okay,
You know, I agree,
all right,
I agree.
all right. Evan?
I agree with it.
Okay,
Yes, I agree.
there's a little hesitation from a couple of you, but okay, so consensus. So we'll work on getting that wording into this. Was there anything else specific, Counselor Redding?
I had it highlighted at one point, but I didn't submit it. I didn't know.
Yeah, I just remember
Wanted.
that was the main one, that there was not clarification on.
I know that specific, yeah, and I
And,
just thought a lens would be put over it.
yeah, and I can go back and check out grammatical things. Anyway,
And we might reach out to Mandy, I think, Counselor Hagedorn, I think she had some specific points too, if I could.
she was the one that commented on, there was some grammatical things.
Yeah,
that-
last.
Yeah,
Last February.
yeah, but she didn't specify what they were, so I can email her, or I actually. I can just read through here and see it, because we're gonna have to add this anyway, so,
okay.
Can this be, put through a spell check?
yes, it has been. That's the part I don't understand. So right now, there's a section that says vacancies and removals, and it said, appointments by the city council to fill vacancies shall be for the remainder of an unexpired term, which is exactly what your newest member is doing. A member may be recommended removed by city council by a majority vote of the Parks and Rec Board if the member is repeatedly absent. That is where they wanted the clarification.
Okay, so it should say a member may be recommended to be removed by city council,
Right,
to
based on
be removed.
this, yeah, because you're gonna clarify what is repeatedly, absent from meetings without a prior excuse, or if the member has acted in a manner deemed contrary to Parks and Rec rules and bylaws. So,
And this would be submitted to the chair or vice chair, it would be to the chair or city recorder.
so I don't know if they want clarification then, if they have two unexcused and they meet with you, and then what happens if they have another unexcused down the road? I mean.
I'd say they'd be gone.
Well, okay, I need that in a little bit more business-like terms, so, something to the effect of should,
If the unexcused absences persist,
exactly,
they'll immediately go to vote at next meeting for,
recommendations.
Yes.
Right, council.
Or remove.
Does that sound
either
clear?
next meeting or current meeting that they missed.
So, you know, if we go with what the
I was
library
like,
has.
just summarize it, cause I've heard it.
Yep,
three
if we
ways.
go with what the library has, and they meet with the chair and discuss the two unexcused. Then it's, should the unexcused absences persist? It is grounds for recommendation to, for removal to the council or something to.
I think that's clear and concise.
Yeah.
And
I
objective.
mean, we can wordsmith it a lot better than that, but. It's just a matter of if that issue continues to happen after the two have been addressed with, the two unexcused have been addressed with the chair. Then it could,
Be removed.
yes. Is everybody good with that?
So I found one of the areas that I remember. So under, membership,
Mm-hmm,
section 2, attendance at city council meetings.
members. Oh, there it is, section 2, yeah, council meeting.
At the very end, it says, in absence, the vice chair will preside. Will appoint special committees under, so that will is not very grammatically correct, not that I'm speaking grammatically correct either, but.
Okay. Well, what's that? And then I do wanna let you guys know that, so we put your written quarterly report in the agenda packet. When was that? Second meeting in January maybe, or the first meeting in
Yeah.
February? Council would really prefer that a member of the board be there to be able to answer questions and, you know, address anything in the report that they have concerns about or that they need more information about. So, and you guys can decide who it doesn't always have to be the chair. You can, you know, you can take turns or whoever's available for that council meeting. You've already done it for now, so you don't have to do it again until April, May. I don't know. It depends on how often you meet too.
So that sentence should read, in absence, the vice chair will preside and may appoint.
No, that's, I'm gonna talk with,
Special committees.
yeah, that whole last two sentences is
Yeah,
wonky.
yeah, because
We're-
it's in absence of the chair.
Yeah, the chair will preside at all meetings. In absence, the vice chair will preside.
So the chair,
Um,
the vice chair.
but normally the chair appoints special committees under the Parks and Rec Board and will assist staff in creating agendas. So it's, I think it should be the chair will appoint special.
Yeah, but this is if the chair isn't there and the vice chair is running the show. Because it could be that a special committee needs to be selected that night. So it should say. The chair will preside at all meetings, period. In absence of the chair, the vice chair will preside and and may appoint special committees under the PNR board and will assist staff in creating agenda for each meeting as needed. I can give this to you.
I've got it written down. I'll talk to Bill. We'll wordsmith it and probably have to get Emily involved too, so, that's just a wonky sentence all the way around.
Well, and it kind of
We'll
right
get it.
under duties of officers, it says the vice chair will act as chair in the event the chair is unable to fulfill duties or is absent from a meeting. So
Right.
that even is fixing that part. So
Yeah.
maybe that will is defining the chair. And you could almost remove in absence, since it's written there.
Is it duplicated? Is it really duplicated though?
The vice chair will act as chair in the event the chair is unable to fulfill duties or is absent from the meeting. So that seems like a good fit to me. When in absence, the vice chair will preside. You could just, and then that, I think the will appoint special is connected to the chair, but
Yeah, yeah,
let the lawyer decide.
yeah.
Okay, let's move on to, baseball groups. We had discussed before about, baseball teams using Jesse Mays.
Reserving, right?
Reserving. Yes, reserving. Again, the same gal wants to know if we can reserve or use. I'm not sure how you wanna look at it. The baseball diamond. It's, let's see. A couple of days a week, starting in, I don't have that. You have those dates?
What days?
In March and April.
You said.
Okay,
May.
March and
You said it was April,
say,
April and May.
March. Right, it is, it's- yes, you're right. It's April and May and the first part of June. And so,
Yeah, we don't reserve the fields.
Fields are first come, first served, because we do not have a reservation process
Right.
or a fee that has been
Okay.
approved for that.
can a notice just be put on the boards on the back, whatever those are?
It's just a first come, first served more than
That-
anything.
I mean, we could put it on there, but it does not guarantee that there won't be another team there before them. I mean, honestly, we just have no reservation.
Right, I don't think she's really wanting a reservation. She just wants a notice put up that they are going to have, if it's available. Certain times, she's got a schedule and that,
Well, that's the same thing as a reservation. You can just show up. Cause we don't have anything in place right now. It'd be
Okay.
nice to have, and whenever we have like a program coordinator, we can deal with all that in the future. That sounds like a great idea. But at this time, we don't have a reservation system or a fee schedule set up for that. So it's mostly a first come, first served.
It's 100% first come, first served.
Right, it is at first come.
Okay.
yeah.
Just like the pickleball courts, basketball court, tennis courts, they're all, because we had people say, can we reserve pickleball courts? We don't, they're all on a first come, first serve.
They're definitely welcome to play if that's the bigger issue, of course.
yeah, it is the bigger issue, they need a field to play on. Do they need to provide the city anything if they come on a regular basis?
First comfort, no,
Okay.
there's nothing that they need to
Okay.
provide. If we do have a reservation system in the future, yeah. But
Okay.
for right now, it's just show up and play, yeah.
I think that is something that we should look to add though for the future, is reserving this. I think optically, it's great for our city. Like for me, it's one of my biggest frustrations, like being a baseball guy, is that field's never used. North Plains Elementary back before, like, ready to rock fields if they were just maintained,
Right.
that just sit vacant on here.
Yeah.
And so I think in regards to our new hire, things like that, I think that's something that we should start working towards doing. I think out here, I would cap it at an age group, probably at like the second grade.
Mhm.
So like anybody gets a hold of a ball that's any older than that, is gonna park it in people's houses.
Right,
But
Honestly, we haven't seen even practices. I mean, no
Yeah.
teams can, and it's available. It's, we've never turned anybody, said, no, you can't use the fields. It's open to anybody, and I kind of expected that we would end up having,
well. I
especially
think
with the
they will-
second elementary school, that we'd have some.
Right, I think they will start using it. What about the watering and that? When does that come on? Is that in the morning?
I think they changed the water schedule at the end of last year because Showplace was having a hard time watering in the morning or mowing in the morning. Because I think it's evening waterings right now. I'd have to go back and check, but
So-
it's not in watering season right now, so
Right,
we can always change it.
okay, so. If they decide they're going to start using this, we can assure them that the water won't be coming on during.
I can arrange it so that the
Okay.
water's not going during practice.
Okay,
I think one of the things that Cody was trying to set up was kind of at nighttime when it's starting to get dark is when we're gonna
Right.
start watering.
okay,
Yeah,
all right,
I think the mowing part of that too will be the other part, 'cause that grass can get pretty long. And for like hitting ground balls or anything like that,
Uh-huh.
like for my little guy, I bring like soft spongy balls out there, cause anything you hit into the ground, it's like grass can get. It's, makes it tough to play.
how often do
ball.
they mow that?
Once a week.
Okay,
But if we were, I would say if we were to move in that direction, that would be something,
right,
especially if you were to charge or something like that,
right,
to look to add in to make it so people wanna use it like that.
yeah,
What were the dates again that they were wanting to play? It was during the
Uh,
summer.
it's, April, May. And June, the first week of June.
Okay, we will be having that perimeter project soon. We don't have any dates right now, and so that would be the only thing that I can think of is being in conflict. Is once they start tearing out the trees and everything around the perimeter, that might come into conflict with them. But I think that's gonna be towards midsummer, maybe end of May, beginning of June, so towards the end of what their practice is gonna be.
And they can always park over here versus.
I think optically it's the right look. You know, the more we can have that, the better,
Right, I think so
you
too.
know,
Oh, I'd love to
It's
see
good
it
imaging
get more,
for the
get
city.
some use, it doesn't look like it.
I agree.
I see people with their dogs
With
out
their
there
dogs.
throwing
Right.
balls and stuff, but I. The last time I saw kids there, it was a youth group that had. Rented, or not rented it, but brought in, they told us, we're gonna have, you know, a group there, and that was like.
Mhm.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Okay, well, I'll just explain to her that, you know, first come, first serve. What she had said was that, many times, because it's the same way in different areas that they go to. That, when a team shows up, if there's other kids just playing. They kind of move on because they see, you know, a group coming, so. All right, cleaning fees for the gazebo here, whatever you call it, the covered area.
Mhm.
We never finished that, did we? Did we come up with a fee for that?
Like a fee suggestion, I don't think we came up with an actual number.
I did some looking and it's all over the board. But the one thing we need to decide is, or you need to tell us, if we come up with a cleaning fee, does that mean we have to have a city employee check it out after each event?
Yep, that's exactly what it means.
And so the fee is gonna have to directly, it's gonna have to correlate with whatever crew members, you know.
The city cost.
Yeah, the city cost and plus, you know, the cost of actually coming in then, especially if it's after hours, I have a 2 hour minimum recall. And so my crew member is gonna be paid for 2 hours when they come in. And that's basically what it is right now, for any of my guys that are recalled, it's a 2 hour automatic recall. So if there's something damaged or whatever, they're paid for 2 hours of work regardless if it's like a 15-minute thing or not.
Well, I just looked and Hegg Lake at their covered areas, $125 cleaning fee. Hillsborough Parks are $50 cleaning fees. So. That's just information for you if you want to implement that. Bring in more money.
If any,
Wasn't the goal to make it a small fee that would just go into a pot so that when there wasn't a repair that needed to be made, that funds would be there to help cover that?
like a deposit, I think that.
It's not a
Yeah.
returnable deposit, it's
Oh,
it's just a fee that goes into this pot. And it wasn't a top, a big fee, it's like $15-20. And it goes into this pot and it's just builds and is there when something needs to be repaired there after somebody breaks something.
So a non-refundable deposit.
what is it? We don't have that here for Jesse Mays.
No, it's
It's a
refundable.
refundable deposit, which,
But we
For
were
here.
talking about changing that to a non-refundable. Or at least a portion of it. To go into that fund to help, change out the electrical, whatever was broken the last time.
So you're talking about making it a use fee rather than a deposit?
Sort of, yes.
Which there's already a fee, a rental fee to use that area. It's a 2-hour blocks, it's 55. I don't remember honestly.
well, it sounds like a deposit would go in line with what we already have for Jesse Mays and also for any of the other things. For example, a right-of-way permit, if there's something going on in the right-of-way that needs like a surety deposit or a bond or something like, it's all refundable, based off of, depending on the damage. So if, someone does $300 worth of damage and there was a non-refundable of $50 per se, they're also liable for the additional $250 in damages. But if they didn't do any damages, then we'd refund them, and that's kind of like the common practice, because we're not, trying to make money off of this, we're just more or less, recouping costs
Right.
if we need to.
But the fact that we don't have somebody to check things, that's why we talked about doing it this way, so that there would be a fund building. Until you can afford to pay someone to come and check after events.
I'm wondering if that would just be included in the actual fee, like the main fee of everything, and that would be a service that we would provide if that's what we chose to do.
How many events, birthday parties or whatever are out there on a nice weekend?
On a nice weekend during the summer, there can be 3 a day.
I think April has a better understanding. of that.
Yeah, so she does it all, but I put them on the calendar, so I know, and we actually are getting them now for months out, months out.
So what happens, somebody rents that covered area, but then somebody has a party out here? Nothing? You don't?
No, the playground area is not included. I mean, you don't get sole use of the playground just because you rent the
gazebo covered.
the
area.
pavilion is what we call it. So yeah, it's you can rent it in 2-hour blocks from 8 in the morning till 8 at night, $62 per 2-hour block. And then obviously the building's a totally different thing. But yes, there are times when we've had them from 8 in the morning all the way till 8 at night.
So somebody else can come along then and just pitch a tent out here and have a party.
They have.
Yeah, they can.
We don't have a code enforcement or an enforcement aspect of that unless it's during the day. Even then, it's more of.
I mean, it's public parks, so
So what are the funds, the rental fees used for? How was that money designated for use?
I think it all goes into the Jesse May. Bill, are you listening? Jesse Mays has a line item now in the budget.
Yeah, Jesse,
and I think-
yeah, Jesse Mays, the Jesse Mays Community Hall has its own fund, operating fund, and any rental fees earned go into that fund to at least partly pay for the costs of it. So, but it all stays with the Jesse Mays building, basically.
Okay, so then the maintenance could come out of that if something were needed to be repaired.
Yep,
Out
that's
of
how we
the-
track that. That's how we track it now. That's right.
Okay. Then they're using. We don't have to worry about it.
So this is a non-issue now?
Yes, so. All right, let's move on to new business. Business. You need to bring up? Board comments. Anyone have any
Oh,
comments?
'cause I'm-
Okay, then,
I've got you.
Speak up.
Here.
speak up.
I also attended the PAC meeting as one of the audience members. Just in case our designated member wasn't able to make it, he was there. I got, from my overall view, it seemed positive, most of the people. From what, at least from my understanding is. We're all on the same page about growth for the city. Trying to. It was a month ago. Issue. Sorry, I'm having a hard time thinking the right words to use. Just, there was some. Just the main point was everyone was mostly on the same page for. To grow the city. But smartly. To expand. With, what the city needs, the housing and the parks and some. Industrial. There was only a little bit of pushback. At least that was my interpretation.
Only the last 45 minutes.
You watched the last 45 minutes?
I was here. for
Oh,
the
you
last
were-
45 minutes, yeah. I was at another event earlier.
Yep.
I do have a comment. I see that Dawn has been made, Dawn Weber has been made the alternate. He was sitting at the table last time, so there were 2 counselors at the last meeting at the table. I would like to suggest that Kevin get a seat at the table as well, since he's an alternate as well.
Or no alternates get a seat at the table.
Yeah, if you don't mind, let me address that. So the city council determined that Don was Councilor Weber is a true alternate. So it will be and the primary to sit at the table will be Councilor DeForge. So there won't be 2 city councilors at the table moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just and kind of in follow up to that, I think there were kind of legitimate concerns about is there participation deliberating on the issue with 2 city councilors on the table providing opinion? Is that deliberation on the issue by city council? Does that create the possibility of like a serial meeting problem? So the easiest thing to do is just say 1 counselor, 1 alternate, and 1 person from council at the table. So that's kind of the story.
Works for me, thank you.
Mhm.
Do we know when the next meeting is?
Not yet. There won't be any meeting in February, I know that.
Parks Foundation meeting update.
There is no update, we have not had a meeting since.
Is
I think
there
the
one,
last one got canceled.
is there one scheduled?
As far as I know, it still is scheduled for the
Second Thursday
of the month.
of the month.
I will check afterwards to verify. But as far as I know, it is still supposed to be the second Thursday of the month.
Okay, I haven't heard that there is one. Nobody has messaged me about a meeting at the senior center.
Yes. We'll just have to see how that goes.
Okay. Do we have any other updates or comments? You have anything?
You want me to go now versus ex officio?
Whatever you want to do.
My only update from council at this time is that applications are open until Friday, this Friday at 12 for Counselor Phage's counselor position. It's less than a year at this point. It ends December 31st of this year. So details can be found on the city website. And I'm sure if you have any questions, Lori will be available.
Anyone else? Any comments? All right. Staff comments. Status of the new parks.
I do not have any updates from Lennar on the new parks. It's just the same information that I've had in the past, that they were trying to get phase 4 and 5 ready by this spring. And I'm waiting for their project manager to get back with me on specific dates. But phase 5, the actual roads and the right of way and everything like that is under their maintenance bond for the next year. So all that's finished, but the parks, they're still working on it. But I would expect to see a little bit more work later in spring, especially when we're getting sod down and everything and sprinkler systems up and running. So, but I can get you a better detail on that whenever I get word from Lennar themselves.
Okay.
Yes, Councilor Reddy.
Does the Parks and Rec Board get to know what parks are going in and approve?
Right now, that's a planning and development issue, and we have like the Parks Board just kind of has a kind of a wish list that we can tell the developer more than anything based off of our Parks Master Plan more than anything.
We've met with them over
Yeah.
the years. A couple of,
Regularly, yes,
Yes.
whenever they are getting ready to start work on a new
Right.
park, they
Specifically.
contact
that's
me
why
to
I
come
asked,
and
because
before the
I've been on this board for
ever.
ever.
You and Evan too,
Yes.
both. But yeah, they contact me when they want to come and make a presentation. They do take into consideration comments made and that doesn't mean they're gonna guarantee that everything this board says they want gets in. It does not in any way, shape or form,
Right,
but they do take.
Yeah, there was also an update recently, and I think it was going forward with planning that they needed to do a slight redesign of the bathroom facility. And, you know, through that, we kind of made some updates of, hey, this is what's happening over here at Jesse Mays. And we're making sure that we're on the same page over there.
Mhm.
Things like making sure that we have the hand dryers and we're not doing any paper towels or anything, trash cans that are installed in there. And so far, it sounds like the plans are aligning. And I don't know when those restrooms are going to be finalized, but once again, it's probably going to be later this spring before we see any progress on that. And I think one of the other updates, speaking of the restrooms, since we've changed everything over here and kind of changed the schedule and locking one of the bathrooms and having the camera in place, we haven't had any issues. Over the wood, there it is on the floor.
Has the issues in town also gone down? You know?
It's been about the same. We have just random graffiti around town.
Yeah.
And the crew tries to be on it as much as possible, and we send photos of the graffiti to our police department because a lot of times they can kind of see it might be the same person or whatever that is doing everything. They're just kind of building a database more than.
That's what I was wondering if there was a correlation. So to summarize, just to make sure I understand, ultimately, Parks and Rec have are presented and can give input, but Planning Commission is our ultimate decider on what parks are going in or what it's.
For Bryn Hill, you mean?
Yes.
No, they're not the ultimate decider, but we do have our Parks Master Plan. That the Parks Board has a lot of input in. And one of the things that we were waiting on was to update the most recent Parks Master Plan. 'Cause I mean, it's a little out of date, but
We don't have any new parks property to do anything with.
yeah.
So we won't be updating that parks master plan anytime soon. But, and the planning commission, now they can sometimes put a little input in, but they really don't. They don't even have as much input or as much opportunity to request what they'd like to see as the Parks Board does.
Ultimately, the city has no real control over what goes into Brent Hill at the end. of the
We have control because they have to follow our Parks Master Plan,
Okay.
so that is where the control fits.
Line.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh,
Bryn Hill, like Sunset Ridge, have a master development agreement where they agree to put in a certain number of parks of certain size that comply with the city's parks master plan. And then when the time comes to officially design the park, this is the body that advises and gives feedback on what is going into the park based on interpretation of the parks master plan. The parks master plan has specific projects that qualify for system development charges to help pay for them. But it also has information about the city's demographics and park needs, kind of the qualities of it. And so this body is what kind of advises on how that park gets kind of fleshed out as a park to be consistent with the master plan. But it's two stages of control. It's the master development agreement dictates a certain number of parks, where, size, as part of that neighborhood development. And then the Parks Board is what kind of advises on the back end, what it looks like, what's in it, that sort of thing.
Okay, thank you so much, Phil.
Yeah, sure.
You, what, a year ago or so, something like that? I think was our last meeting with them. Like when they came in and
yeah.
they had some ideas that we approved and some that we
Right.
nixed. Offer different.
And
thoughts on.
These are not city parks. These are
Yeah.
some
HOA.
HOA parks. But they do allow this group to have input, and yeah, so the initial.
Listen to us.
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand, like checks and balances and how it works with developers, so, sorry.
That's why we want to upgrade our master plan, because with having these parks being done, we sort of figured out some flaws in it that we would like. Re-amend to make it or work for the city.
Yeah, but it's expensive to do, so. Gonna wait until we have some major stuff to do. And the futsal court in phase 5 is one of our recommendations. It's
It's
like a
It's like soccer.
Kind of a
soccer on a
soccer.
Harvard court. Oh, okay.
It's a popular.
It's
Yeah.
very popular. It's kind of
Moving
gaining right
over.
behind pickleball now. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's,
so
It'll
that's
be-
our recommendation. Over
So
what
was the
they have.
amphitheater and all of that.
Yeah, so, all right, thank you.
Yeah, it'd be a multi-use court.
Yes.
I was thinking, 'cause it was originally, I think, gonna be a ski park is what they had
Yes.
So for
selected,
little
that we,
kids, right,
what's that?
for little kids.
Yeah, for little
Yeah.
kids, then we thought just based on how the pickleball courts are used and the basketball courts are the ones getting something more multi-use for all ages, would be more beneficial.
And one more, if I might, it was mentioned earlier that the parks in Bryn Hill are HOA, and I just wanted to be clear about a technicality that's important, and that is that the parks in Bryn Hill are were developed and owned by the Bryn Hill HOA owns the parks. But as part of the master plan, the master development agreement, those parks have a public easement on them, meaning that they act like city parks. People from anywhere in the city or the public can use those facilities anytime and as much as they want, but the HOA owns them and the HOA maintains them. And that's kind of the balance. They get credit for building the parks and for owning them and maintaining them, but they're doing it for the city, and so that's kind of the balance there. They're not private HOA operated parks. Anybody can use them. Anybody in the city or a visitor has a perfectly equal right to use the parks in Bryn Hill. Same thing with Sunset Ridge.
Well, that's why we did like the bathrooms are operated by the city, right? So that's kind of like give and take
Right.
to it with that, yeah.
The only thing is, nobody knows how outside of Brynhill, how to reserve the covered space there. So that's not available to the entire city.
I can get with the HOA manager of Bryn Hill, but I don't think they have a reservation system either. But I can,
So either.
No,
I
it's a
can-
first come, first served.
I think it's a first come, first served, just like it is here. I don't think there's any plans on making it like that.
So I guess what I would say is we staff need to look into that because they applied for and got system development charges credits for putting in that facility at their expense. Instead of handing us money to buy the property and put the park in ourselves, they did it all, but then they got some system development charge credits for it. So we are entitled to that information, I would say.
Hey, thank you.
That would be good information for the Parks Board to have.
Absolutely. Okay,
Is there any other updates that you'd like to hear from me? There's a lot going on and
yes,
it's not just parks, public works, everything, but it's all kind of related.
go ahead.
I mean, I'm trying to think, what was the other one? The roof,
The roof.
roof here. So one of the things that I was trying to do for the next budget cycle was we made the facilities code, the facilities fund, so we can identify all the issues that we do and then kind of do more facilities upgrades. And roof was on that for next budget cycle, but because of how all the rain and everything happened, it kind of pushed up the schedule. And so I got a bunch of quotes. And right now I'm in I did review the quotes, but I need to send out some clarifying, like a clarifying, you know, like requests to all of those, contractors, because there was enough of a difference in the quotes that I needed to get some clarifying answers. So I have not
What's
made a.
included, what's not.
Correct, and so I found out that there needed to be a clarifying scope. And it is interesting to see what the contractor, like some contractors said, well, we need to do this. And then other contractors said, no, you don't need to do this, but you need to do this. And
Have these
so it was,
contractors been here to look at it?
correct. Correct, and so it was kind of all over the place and I could not compare apples to apples. And so that was why I need to send out a clarifying, request to
To
the
give us an idea of
Did they actually,
where those numbers are?
Not this time, no.
did they actually go up above inside to see?
So that's the other thing is that some of them came inside, even though everybody had the opportunity to come inside. Not all the contractors came inside. Some of them just did the outside.
Yeah.
And they did and I think that's part of the scope because I don't know what is going on in the inside. And I've had some contractors say, well, the inside is fine, but the outside is what needs to be done. And then some are like, well, we need to fix the gutters, but while we fix the gutters, we need to fix the trim. And it just kind of spiraled out of control. And so there was a lot of scope creep on this. And so I just need to tighten everything down.
Sure. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? For him?
Dustin, if you need any help, let me know.
I know that's pretty much your day job. So I was not expecting the amount of scope creep and like all of that to come for this
You can
particular
have
project.
$30,000 swap, but just a road, just depending on the contractors.
Yeah.
You know, you need to put out a very clear, concise expectation to what you're thinking, but also. And to you, is you've got probably 3 different bids, see their scopes across the board. Look at what is the same and what is different in each one and put in alternates.
They're hired. Okay, update on the cameras. They're doing fine, as you were talking about the bathroom.
Yeah, we only have one camera and I have a much bigger program and that was gonna be part of the next budget cycle for security and cameras in general. But I was trying to piggyback it off of the security improvements that I'm doing over at the Pump Station 1 Reservoir on Commercial Street. And I was gonna try to piggyback everything together. But that's definitely something that I'm working on for partially this budget cycle and next budget cycle.
All right, any other updates you want to give us?
I've got a lot of things going on in town, but I don't wanna overburden with you with everything. There's a lot.
All right,
The perimeter you said is gonna start probably around April or May.
Right now, we are waiting on PGE. They have to do a lot of relocates of some of their poles. And with that, some of the trees have to be removed as well. And once the utilities have relocated, then we will have a better idea of when the actual work is going to start. But we have not got out to bid or anything yet, and it's gonna be coming very soon.
And is it still the trees that were marked for removal?
I'm not sure what
Over here.
the arborist recommendation, the arborist actually went through all of the CIP projects that we had in town. And for this particular site, basically it was recommended for removal all of the trees based on the scope of the project. Yes. And that was an arborist recommendation based off of the health and after, some of
It
the,
doesn't surprise me.
yeah,
It's different than
They'll be-
what we were told before.
correct. And that's one of the reasons why we went with an arborist, yeah.
Only like 6 or 8 trees were gonna be gone now.
So with the scope of the contract, putting in the stormwater, because there's pipes going under the ground and then there's curb and then there's asphalt. And also we found out that some of the construction that was going on when they redid Jesse Mays, that also damaged some of the trees that were over here in the parking lot. And so they were kind of on the downward spiral. And so.
The big ones.
Correct, and that was part of, damage done on previous construction, yeah, unfortunately,
So are
those
those
coming down?
coming down too?
yes. Unfortunately, yes.
We're gonna be totally treeless.
Well, we are going to be replanting trees, and
I know.
that's the thing that we're trying to do is,
Bro.
we're gonna plant the trees where, they make sense and where they're gonna last. The right kind of tree for the right area. And a tree that's gonna last a long time, because like these fruit trees around here, they only survive
they
probably
are
about
past
20.
their prime.
They are past their prime. They last only about 20-25 years. And so we're gonna try to get trees that are gonna be here for the long term.
Good.
And not as tall and messy.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Could be worth it for us too to start looking at like some shade sales. The playground then, because if I start chopping down a lot of trees that provide some shade. Might be worth looking at some shade sales. We'll go over the top to provide some shade for the kids out there when they're playing. I know some of those can be retracted or whatever. They're not that expensive,
Yeah.
you know, for a couple grand, but that place, we definitely get a sunburn out there, ripping
Yeah.
around, so. As we're going through this process, might not be back to the press to look in the future towards something like that anyway.
It's gonna take quite a few years for trees to mature. And I know we've got those 2 trees out there that we bought more mature than normal, but it's still gonna take a while for those trees to,
Yeah, they're still little.
yeah.
All right, any other updates or comments? Anybody else?
Do we didn't know when we're gonna start the feasibility study on Blue Woods? So that was discussed last time.
I did bring that up to our engineering consultant. But we also have a number of other projects going on at the same time, so it's been brought up and I don't have a timeline for that yet. But yes, that is something that has been discussed.
Did it get approved?
The
The feasibility.
feasibility that's just something that I'm discussing with the engineering contractor.
Oh, okay, so
That's,
it doesn't have to be approved by council.
no, I mean, if it's going to be over $50,000, then yes. And so we're just doing the, the exploratory of like what is possible more than a day.
Is there any update on timelines for the role that was approved?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Is there
Oh,
any
for the
update?
position?
Yeah, for the position.
That's a good question, yeah.
Bill,
Yes, sorry. I have a dog that just came in as being noisy.
let's see her.
No, she's
We went all
running
one
around. Well,
CCD.
could you repeat the question, please?
Yep, oh, go ahead.
Is there an update on the role or the position, on the timeline?
On this, I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Is there an update on the timeline for the new position?
Oh, no, Robin and I are working on the kind of cover page description of the job to get the announcement out, hopefully by the end of the week. But we visited about that late last week, so it should be going out pretty soon.
All right, Bill, do you have anything?
Yeah, just something for the future to discuss, but we had a rental application this week for Jesse Mays where they wanted to have a private party with a bounce house inside the hall. And after visiting with the our insurance company, they said with proper policies and identifying the specific type of bounce house and age restrictions, therefore person size restrictions, rentals could potentially have bounce houses in Jesse Mays, or if the city's fledgling parks programming included something where a bounce house might be indoors during the winter for kids, kind of a day event or something. We could explore, how to make sure it worked from an insurance standpoint. And so I would just put it before you all to think about taking that up at a later date, because we underutilize Jesse Mays, and if there's anything we can do indoors a little bit more for families and kids, it doesn't have to be bounce house, but there's a path to it. So just keep that in mind for a future conversation.
All right, that's it for your report.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. All right. Well, nobody else has any other comments or concerns? This meeting is adjourned at 7:09.